Crazy Camp life, votes, and tribals. The life of a survivor is more than you see on TV. So if you need the scoop on island survival, crack a coconut, put on some rice, and let's spill the immunity. Hey everybody, welcome. We decide sometimes we want to talk about the Survivor episode and Survivor in general before we go live, and we forget that we really need to talk about it. So we just kind of hit live, and it is what it is. We have a lot to talk about.
It is, yes.
It is what it is. But I'm here with Alex and Brandon. We are excited to be at Merge in this season, but we got that same thing of only half of the people get the merge feast, and that really pisses me off. Like, it should just be a merge feast. I want to see how everyone interacts together. What do you guys think?
Yeah, that's a good point. The everyone getting together, because it was so lopsided, right? When they divided the tribes, it was all the guys having the merge feast and all, minus Charlie, right? So you're right. You do miss the big merge feast and everybody kind of conspiring together in a big group for the first time. So yeah, I do kind of miss that.
Yeah, there's a lot of strategy that's you can't necessarily do. All the options aren't on the table as quickly as you want them to. And some of these players need to be able to strategize as soon as possible, because there's, some players inevitably already in trouble. And some people think a lot slower than others. We can talk more about that on this little podcast. So,
yeah, they do think slower. I do like it, though. I mean, there is that anticipation where they come to do the next challenge, right? They all show up on the beach. They're in their individual tribes. And he looks at them and he says, drop your buffs. Mm-hmm. Jeff, we love that. Why did you take that away? Why do you send a dude on a boat to hand you a note and that says drop your buffs? I don't like it. I get it. They get to get their stuff. They get to bring their tarp. I don't care about any of that. I want you to say to everybody, drop your buffs. I love that moment. And then give me the merge feast where they're really truly together for the very first time, and the wine's flowing, and there's maybe some beer there, and they get a little chatty and but not really ready for it. So that's what I like. I don't know why we don't have that.
Love the phrase from Jeff. Love that everybody gets to participate in this merge feast. However, I wonder if it was the man on the boat with the note, because of them maybe having the chance to go find that idol, go find that key. Because if they didn't get that in that way, they would have never known it's really the merge and those kind of things. So I do understand it. But, Bree, I agree. We need to hear Jeff say the words, drop your buffs. So,
yeah. Well, that was so funny when they are like, the man on the boat with the note comes and he's, drops it off. And then Hunter is just like, and he just literally sprints off as fast as he can. I was like,
plays it out of there. Yeah.
I was like, that would be my strategy. It's like, as soon as you get to the island, literally just sprint away as fast as you can. Nobody can find you. So yeah, you're right. They do have to do that now that they have this, what do they even call it? I mean, it's a beware advantage, but so Hunter, to catch the audience up here, right? So the man on the boat with the note comes, says, you guys are going to tribe swap, or you guys are going to merge. I'm sorry. And they're merging to the camp with Hunter on it. So it's the Nami tribe, right? Mm-hmm. And Hunter has, I think they said like 10 minutes. I'm probably a little bit longer than that, to find the idol, right? Because he lost his vote with the beware advantage, and then he had to find the idol. So he goes back, he finds the note, and it says it's actually on the steps. So then he runs and he goes over to the steps and he's digging all around, and it turned out perfectly for him, because then Liz came up and was like, oh, Hunter, can you go get that for me? And he's like, okay. And he runs off again really fast and he gets it, just in the nick of time. So that was pretty crazy. I don't know if we've ever seen that type of, frenzy in order to get an idol in that short period of time, outside of like one that's public and they kind of know the location. Yeah. So that's pretty incredible. It really speaks to Hunter as a player, and even his like kind of sneakiness, right? You don't think he's super, super sneaky like that, but he kind of is. Yeah, go ahead, Brandon.
It was a cool way for them to have a new idol out there, right underneath the steps. You go look for it. You got 10 minutes before the tribes get there. That was something we haven't seen in all the idols of this wonderful show on any season in particular, which is great. Second part, it's so huge that Hunter, even though he hasn't played the game yet, like he hasn't voted for anybody, he hasn't had a chance for anybody to cast a vote, and that was his first tribal. And with all that said,
And he still hasn't voted.
And he still hasn't voted, and he's still the best player in the game this season. I think, at least. And part of that is because he kind of allows himself to have those little quirkiness pieces to where if he's going to run off and do an airplane thing and be the first one back at camp, no one thinks anything of it. No one thinks he's going to go sit by himself for a little bit before everybody gets there and just sit on the steps. He has such a good alliance that someone questions on why he's doing it. Is he okay? I can't read him. And they're saying, don't worry about Hunter. Don't worry about Hunter. Like, he is having such a great game, and he hasn't had to do anything yet. It's so great. So great.
He did really get noticed, though. So when we get to the challenge, which is, I thought was a really good, I have to say, I like this challenge.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
I thought it was a really great challenge. I was like, oh, we haven't talked about Jeff in a hot minute. So Jeff gave us a little fun at the challenge when Soda makes a comment about what, Jeff? Like, what? And he's like, what, are you new? Like, do you not understand how this works? And I was like, that was just beautiful. And I loved it. And I was appreciating the snarky reply from Jeff to her about the whole thing. Like, come on, you should be ready for this kind of thing. You've seen Survivor before. So I just have to give Jeff that little shout out because we don't talk about Jeff that much. I don't know if we see him, but we got a couple things from him this episode. My dogs are going absolutely nuts right now. But we don't get that much. We got a couple things from Jeff. We got that comment. And then right after the challenge, we got him whispering, hey, if you want to be on Survivor, you could be doing these kind of sneaky things too. Yeah, It was like this whisper. It was just different from him. I don't know.
Whispering sweet nothings to us, guys.
Yes, be on Survivor. Let's go. But yeah, the challenge was a great challenge. It looked really lopsided. Obviously, that was stacked on the other side, but they both gave it their all. I thought it was a close race, and I thought they performed really, really well. But Hunter definitely getting noticed and showing off his puzzle skills, which we know he has. Do you think that's going to come back soon to bite him in the ass, or what are we looking at with Hunter because of that?
Alex, go ahead.
Well, yeah, I was really impressed. One, the challenge, we were kind of ragging on them last season. The challenges, these little baby challenges, they were saving all of their energy for these challenges because they're bigger than like ever before. They're doing these crazy drone shots through them. So I'm really liking the challenges. Yep. Was really impressed with Soda and with, that team because it was, David versus Goliath. They were saying you have literally all the guys on one team except Charlie versus all the girls. And it was like neck and neck. I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be like one of the best upsets of all time in Survivor. But Hunter, with his puzzle skills, because he builds them literally in his house for fun and teaches them to his students, literally just put it together like in no time. So is that going to bite Hunter in the butt? I mean, yeah, potentially. But I think there's also so many more threats. Q, Tevin, Soda, Venus. Hunter's doing such a good job being that nice middle school teacher, being that nice, super under the radar. Yeah, he's a challenge threat. But I think people are more swayed by like the social threats now, right? The challenges are deprioritized. Yeah, you do get immunity, but I feel like people are so much more threatened by these personalities than the physical threats now. Because at the end, you never hear people say, oh, Hunter won every single challenge. Like that's never on their Survivor, checklist on what it takes to win, right? It's just, oh, you won. Yeah, that was lucky, but it really didn't have anything to do with strategy or with deserving to be the sole survivor, which I think in the past it did a lot more, but now in the modern age, not so much.
Yeah, and I'm even confused with the phrase lopsided when it comes to some of these challenges not being so physical. Now, granted, this one was pretty physical for a U.S. Survivor show, right? That would have definitely been a lopsided Australian Survivor series with, you know, a lack of puzzle sometimes or whatever. But that first part of the challenge, you go under a net and you're covered with mud. Those bigger guys just become heavier through the mud. So there was a lot of that challenge that may have favored the lopsided other team on that. I want to say props to whoever created that human chain to get Charlie up on the big bowling ball, because 3 ladies were in a completely contorted position. It looked
Yeah,
like.
it was like a transformer. They're like
Loch Ness
combined
Monster.
to make Megatron.
Yeah, it was crazy, man. And got him up there. And so whoever came up with that, you know, mad props. I am really surprised though, that out of all that whole entire challenge, that Tevin was the one that was kind of calling out Hunter being the challenge beast. So I wonder if that was strategy, where he felt friendly enough with Hunter that he could kind of, you know, whisper sweet nothings in the ears of those listening in, or if that was just like a miscue on his part.
I think it probably was I don't know. I think it's a little bit of a miscue, but I also think Tevin definitely plants seeds.
Yes.
So for me, it was Tevin planting a seed for the future. Just like, hey, did you know, like, something to note, right?
Yeah.
Stick that in your cap, hold it on for later, and we're going to discuss that when the time is right. So I kind of think that's Tevin's game, and that's how he does things. So I think it was intentional. And he was right, because
which good on Tevin for having those little pieces of subtle whatever, because I don't know if he can hear Hunter from then. And Hunter's not one that I don't think needs a whole bunch of affirmations to feel good about himself. He doesn't have this alpha male presence. I can't sense it, at least. And so for him to kind of be saying that to the others while cheering, you know, Tevin or Hunter on, I think Tevin, I'm waiting for him to mess up. I haven't seen it yet.
I feel like that was the challenge that Q was waiting for, like, all season. He's like, finally, I'm with my alpha male bros, and we can all, you know, actually win, you know. So Q, I feel like Q really needed that. He really liked that win.
But slow through the mud.
Q was slow through the mud. And
that's going to be the case. A football player, they do that drill like all the time. I mean, not under the net, but like a, you know, bear crawl type of drill. So.
Yeah. And again, I don't know what position he was, because I think part of it is if a couple people have already drudged themselves through the mud, especially some heavier guys, you know, maybe there's some holes in there, maybe there's whatever in there. But man, those women and Charlie really showed that they're in it. So I my confidence or my appreciation for that whole entire team, everybody on it, I think grew a little bit, which is great, because some of them, at least on my list, needed to grow a little bit to be like, are you really playing the show? Liz surprised me more than anybody else in that one. She really stuck it to the other team.
Again, did we even hear Liz, though? I mean, we saw her a couple of times, but what is she doing? Where is she? Where's Liz? I don't know. I was going to say, don't underestimate her, because she is a successful entrepreneur, and entrepreneurs, you know, those are kind of crafty, and we figure it out, right? But yeah, where is she? And is she like Jaden on Australian Survivor, just like, I don't, whatever, just tell me what to vote, I don't care, because you literally never hear anything from her. It's the weirdest thing.
No opinions whatsoever have I heard from her, really.
Right.
No.
She's just like, okay.
She's playing a great second place game right now.
Do we know where she voted on that tribal? I mean,
everybody voted Mariah except for Charlie, right?
And Venus. Mariah didn't vote. That's right.
Vote.
So they all voted. Yeah, I think they all voted Mariah. I think that was pretty tribe wide.
So what do you guys think of that decision? You know, Q said, you know, big mistake on Mariah's part. She only told them that she was on the outside at tribal, apparently. She told Q, and this is why Q was against her. She's like, oh, my favorite player is Aubrey, because they're kind of the same archetype, nerdy, you know, glasses type of, you know. But Aubrey's very sneaky, very conniving. And so Q said, you know, Tiffany said too, I don't care if you're shisty, but if you're smart, I can deal with shisty. I don't want to deal with somebody who's going to outsmart me. I said, oh, that's very interesting. So is she being trifling, or is she being smart?
Right.
Right. Yeah.
I think depending on which, and I think because she got nervous, the first time you tell the truth is not during tribal council, especially if you've been lying. That is the worst place to change how you're going to play this game. And so I don't know. And she even said it. I think she needed to hold that confidence level, because even at the end, she's like, I'm glad I said what I said. I thought it was wise on my part. And obviously, it was the dumbest thing she did all game. So I don't know why you switch the truth at tribal council in front of everybody. I don't get that. Bree, do you?
When her name was brought up at camp, she should have, and she heard it. That should have been her thing, and been like, "Hey, I am like on the outs with this tribe. I am a number for you. I am ready to work with you." That's what her plan should have been. I thought Venus's reaction to things was, there's a whole lot on Venus that I think we can unpack, but you know. And with the fact that Venus was trying to play things to Charlie, I think there was opportunity for Mariah to like make some plays and make some moves in the game and not seal her fate. But like you said, like at tribal is not the time to say that. Too little, too late. Sorry about that. But and I know these guys are gonna bark. I know she was like, I'm gonna like play my shot in the dark, but we know that unless your name's Caleb, it ain't gonna work, really.
Yeah. I was saying Mariah doesn't have luck. She doesn't seem like she's got that Caleb luck, or I just like, I have a feeling that ain't gonna work out for you, the shot in the dark, unfortunately. But this is again like, is Mariah that threat? Venus was like, smart people would keep me around because I'm really smart. I was like, well, is she really smart? Like, she seems pretty smart. She seems very forthcoming and very articulate and really, is able to have some very good arguments. Mariah, she says she's like Aubrey, but is she like Aubrey? I don't think so. I don't think very much. So I was thinking, well, if they really want to vote somebody off who's smart, right, and who's really kind of conniving, they'd vote off Venus. But maybe Venus is too forthcoming and Mariah's a little bit more undercover. And so, but for me, it seemed like Venus would be a much more apt, a much better choice to vote off because she has more social skills. But maybe it's too much, right? Maybe she's too, and that was what was working against her from the very beginning. She stands out, right? Opposed to everybody else.
Yeah, they set up the stage pretty well in the episode when they first showed her, I think right before the merge or right after Mergatory or something, where she said, better to play with the devil than the devil you don't know. And that showed that she was going to be Siga strong the rest of the show, which was to her detriment. In Survivor, you just can't take a tagline or a way to play and call it the way to play. You got to be able to be adaptable and change that phrase and be like, well, in this case, it's actually better for me to find some more devils out there and try to figure this out, because you are at the bottom and nobody voted with you. So you have nobody to play with in this game right now. And sure enough, she didn't see it.
Well, one of the things that it might have been kind of the deciding factor was she's, her and Soda just go at it all the time. Right. And so she doesn't have a good relationship. That was funny when they were arguing. You don't really see that very often of people like just full out like arguing at, and just like,
unless it's it reminds me of Coach and who was the girl that Courtney? No, yeah. Not Courtney. Or was it Courtney? Where they would argue. No, it was the girl had like squinty like oh gosh, what was her name? Anyways. Taking up too much time with Coach. But it did remind me of some famous kind of back and forth banter between two people. Keep on going.
No, I was just saying, they mentioned that before Tribal, that Venus is on the out. She is maybe very smart, but she rubs people the wrong way. Mariah, more easygoing. People could use her as a number. She's, obviously flip-flops, right? So there's just that untrust with Venus. She kind of puts her cards on the table. She is very kind of cunning and stuff, but I think that was probably the deciding factor to get Mariah out, is because she's just maybe a little bit more concealed with her strategy. But she had no power in the game. So this is, again, people are playing on day one. They're not playing to the end of the game. You have so many strong people in this game. It's like everybody who's left is like, they're a good player. Like Ben's a good player. Kenzie's a good player. Hunter's a good player. Charlie, Liz, Mariah, Q, Soda. It's like, guys, this is going to be a very interesting season. This is going to be a very interesting season. You saw kind of them foreshadowing it, like the girls kind of teaming up against Q, and now you have this imbalance here of more guys than women. And so are the women going to have a resurgence with Charlie, and how are they going to kind of, square this off? Because it could be this, bros alliance. And they did mention this, and we should mention this, right? This alliance of 6.
Yeah, the journey
super-
6.
The
journey
plus
six.
one or the journey. I think they called it
Yeah.
2 different things. The plus one
The plus one alliance, yeah.
or the journey alliance. I think Q called it the journey alliance. I think it's Maria didn't know anything about it. So Tim was kind of falling down on the job there.
Tim's a slow player.
Tim's is, so to kind of catch the audience up here too, they went to this journey, and it was Hunter, Q, and Tim. And they said, hey, if we can all bring one person in, we'll have the majority come tribe swap or come merge. So come merge, we'll have this majority. And then Hunter was like, I got Tevin. And Q was like, was it Tiffany? Is that right? And then Tim is like, yeah, I want to be a part of this alliance. I don't have a number one. I'm going to say Maria. And Maria was like, I'm not Tim's number one. Once she found out from Q, she was like, what are you,
because
very
that's
confused.
exactly it. Tim's just throwing out numbers. He thinks so slow and methodically, and that's going to screw his game up. There's no way you can think as slow as he does and win this game.
He was on the beach, and they're like, Tim, what's your decision? And he's like, well, I'll think about it, and I'll make the decision when the time comes. Dude, that's not what you want to say to people. You do not want to say, oh, I'm not going to align with you. I want to see how things play out.
And that was almost
okay.
And what that does is it puts if this is the journey tribe, it puts Maria and Tim as numbers 5 and 6 very easily. It takes Tiga, and it allows them to kind of be the minority versus, the majority of the other 2 tribes working very well together so far, which, hats off or great job for Yanu, who all 3 of them were safe from getting voted off. I mean, they are sitting so pretty right now, the 3 of them, and they love each other. So it's great. But there's, oh my goodness. I think Tim is playing one of the slowest games I've seen of any of the new era seasons, I think.
Yeah, because his indecision and his wanting to wait and think things through comes through as a weakness, right? It's a lack of loyalty, or you have to make those decisions. If the people that you're saying you're aligned with are saying this is the plan, this is what we should do, Tim, you should have thought about that. You got to think about things quickly and make a decision. At least if you still want to think about it, don't tell them you got to think about it. Just to agree, think it through. And if it doesn't work for you, then try to push them in another direction. But don't just be like, well, I don't know. Because, like you said, immediately puts you guys as 5 and 6 in this 6-person alliance, and not going to play out well for you. You're going to be, they're going to look at you like, and it could be that Tim can be the one that they get out. And if Maria stays there, she'll be like, I'll bring Charlie with, right? And there, it's easy to move that away. So I don't know. I think Tim is making a lot of bad decisions. I don't think it's going to come into play right away, but I think, Venus is one that I think is definitely going to keep a target on her. I think we're going to see that for a bit. Her attitude, I thought she was really getting close to swaying the vote at Tribal with her, like what she was talking about. She was kind of putting things out there. She had a little smugness. I got a little Caroline from her that like we just saw in Australia with her like kind of attitude. So I don't know. I think Venus has still got a big target on her back.
Well, I was about to cheer for Venus and say, okay, you're in my A category on this one, that you quickly said, hey, why not Charlie? I mean, in all honesty, it would have been a great decision to vote Charlie. And she could have pulled it off had she not said, oh, all the guys are now doing it. And you got to watch what you say around different people, because if there's people in any alliance with any guy, it's still available. And as we said, there's more guys right now. Someone's going to tell somebody, especially if you're not liked very, very much. So I thought she played it well, and then she screwed herself over. I think that's going to be a problem. I think she's going to do smart things that are going to turn into friendly fire and annihilate her from this game. Is just saying the next thing, which you should not ever say. Don't say too much.
Yeah.
Venus.
Yeah, I think that she's a smarter player than people give her credit. It's not that she's a little, what did Tiffany call her? Shisty or something? I think
Shiesty.
is that a word? Did she make
Yes.
something up? It is a word.
So that's a
Okay.
word. I'm very
Shiesty.
familiar with shiesty.
Shiesty.
Shiesty individuals, yes.
Okay. Not a Midwest term apparently, since I've not heard much about it, but interesting. I knew exactly what it meant, so it must be something I've heard before. But she was like, she is, but she's playing too hard. She's doing too many things. When she walked around and talked to everybody, and like I think that keeps the target on her. I think they want to. I don't think they're ready to go after like real. We don't see the alliances yet. Like we don't really see a division. I didn't see it coming. Usually, when you come in to merge, right, you think in the terms of Siga has 5 and Yanu has 5 or 3. Like you know what I mean? Like there's you like how do we take those 3 and add it to our 5 and how do we I didn't really see that. I saw that as mostly we're all going to come together and vote off somebody, right? Because when they sat at that feast, they were all like, tell us your person, and
that was open. How open was that?
I know. And that's so that whole thing just kind of surprised me as they came in there and they were like, okay, it's between these 2.
Well, and you know who was there? Q. And I think Q has a way to like put all the cards out on the table and to say, okay, I have nothing to lose right now. I'm in the minority tribe. I have immunity tonight. Here we go. And I think that he plays such a strong game, maybe too strong for my liking. But he definitely gets things out in the open. That's for sure. And that reminds me a little bit of Gabler when it comes to kind of just like, nope, let's don't have a 15-minute conversation on this. I want the information. I want it now. Goes right up to Maria to figure out, hey, did Tim talk to you about this? And wasn't completely coy about it, but coy enough, I guess, to where she didn't suspect to, throw Q under a bus or anything like that for saying too much.
Well, you saw a preview on the next season, Tiffany and Kenzie say like, this is kind of the Q show. Like maybe we need to take him down a notch. I don't think they'll do it because, a core 3 and having that is very strong. But I thought the conversation that Q had with Mariah was very interesting. He totally changed his energy. He's very like kind of small and just letting her talk. And, like I didn't expect that type of, like soft, you could even say like softness from Q, but he's very good at changing his behavior. I mean, look at with Banu, right? Like he's very good at kind of meeting people where they are, but then directing them in a very direct way. Right. And keeping things close to his chest. Go ahead, Brandon.
Can we just take 5 seconds and just breathe in? And
what would happen if Banu was
Banu was in this group? Like, oh my gosh, my heart couldn't take it.
His heart couldn't take it. He would have broken into literally would have exploded on the beach. There are a million little pieces of Banu.
A million little Banus. Yeah, I want to see Banu with the 20 minutes to find the idol like Hunter did. That would have been the most insane 7 minutes on Survivor of
help me, Kinsey. Help me find it.
Like,
vote.
He'd be tearing apart the shelter,
Oh dear.
He would have laid on the ground and cried for probably 10 minutes, 8 of the 10 minutes, and then gotten up and been like, now I've got to get to this idol. What do I do? God help me, get me to the right place. And I would have been like, Banu, you got to do the job, man. You just got to, I don't know, man.
Good to see you, I guess.
Bless his heart. Yes, bless his heart.
I think Alex, you make some good points about he knows when to say things to certain people. I think most of the time, there was a time I think he was talking to Tim, and I think he was getting frustrated that Tim is moving so slowly. And I think the command was make sure you take care of that. And he said it looked like in front of more than just Tim. And it seemed to me a little, bossy pants,
a little Kirby-like,
and I
agree. He is a coach, And so he comes on, that's his natural nature to
And
coach
Kirby
people
was
into
too, so that makes sense. Yeah.
Kirby was too. And so he's a little bit more direct, and and that's what Kenzie and Tiffany were saying. This is the Q show. Q's barking out all the orders. He's giving all the directives, and he's a driver, and he really likes to drive the vote and be in control and win. And he's hyper competitive. So that could definitely, and he's a strong physical threat too. So that could definitely bite him, later on. But like I said, I think he is kind of insulated unless there is a groundswell from like Siga, because now Siga's down, right? I mean, they're 4 versus 5 versus 3. So now there's going to be pressure on Nami, and who are they going to vote out on Nami? And that's probably going to be Soda, because they can recruit Venus, Tevin, and Hunter to then vote off Soda. And that will be their sacrificial lamb to say, hey, we're working with you guys. We're willing to vote out one of our own.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of thinking Soda might go, or maybe Liz. I mean, because she's,
Yeah, but they're all that's like the whole tribe is making one big alliance together. It's just like, I don't understand it. Like y'all have to pick. You got to have your core. You got to, and I don't think Q has any patience for Tim. Like, it's not going to go well for Tim if he, like, Q is like action man, right? I want to know, I want action, I want to move forward. We got this and this and this. Like, it's game time, right? This is the second quarter. Before we get into halftime, I got to make sure we are, on the board with some points, and we got to move forward. And if you're not there to make a decision, he's going to put you on the bench, and he's going to find somebody new to quarterback that team, because Tim is not going to, you don't want the guy out there going, I don't even know what play I'm calling. You want the one that's out there. It's like, I'm going to make a decision. I'm going to go into the right place. And that's not happening with Tim. So Q and Tim are going to be, that's going to be an issue between the two of them.
Well, and Q and Tim are the exact players that Hunter and Tevin need at this point in the game. They're shields. They're people that people are finding it hard to play with, but they have big personalities. But let's keep these guys around. So I think that, them staying in this game is not going to be because those two players got this far on their own. It's going to be because I think a couple people are going to be seeing this and being like, all right, like, I think we're safe for a while. I think Charlie and Maria can use those two. I think Tiffany and Kenzie can use those two. So I think I see a lot of groups of two that can very easily use Tim and Q to kind of drift into the top 8.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point of like Maria and Charlie. Charlie is kind of seen as a little bit of a threat, Harvard boy. And they're in a good position too, right? I think they're in a good position. I mean, they have Ben, who's going to be very loyal to them. It looks like Tim is he doesn't even know, right? But Maria and Charlie are in a pretty dynamic position where they can go a lot of different directions to vote off some of these powerful people, and they themselves are not a big target. And so, yeah, I could see, if Hunter and Tevin could kind of team up with Maria and Charlie for a little bit to get out some of the bigger threats, that could be a very good alliance for them. And I feel like Hunter could get along well with like Charlie and Maria, but that just conversation hasn't happened yet.
I think Tim is going to have the perfect strategy on day 27. He's going to know exactly what to do on day 27
Yeah, he'll have it figured out, but then he'll thought about it long enough.
I'm ready, guys.
He's at home. Right. I wanted to shift a little bit because, we're talking about big personalities, and there were some right at the get-go that we saw as these great personalities, and no one less than Tevin himself, right? He came out first, he did the narration as we began, so it was already setting him up to be this, loud player, but we're also seeing him kind of getting a little bit quiet right now when it comes to the way he's at, what he's putting out in camp. I thought for sure we would see some loudness from him or some kind of interjections into things when we said it merge or different things. And I thought he was pretty tempered. I thought he was pretty, a little bit quieter, kind of, observing to see how things are going before he jumped into the fray. What do you guys think?
I think there's a difference between big personalities and specific personalities. And he has a very specific personality to where it's not this big, outlandish, look at me type thing. And I'm sure he is maybe on outside of life or outside of Survivor life, whatever. But I think that he's intelligent to know that, okay, that's not going to work here. He seems like an actor. He seems like he's doing, other things outside the show that have helped him out. And I seriously think I love Hunter. I love Maria. They're still my picks, but I could see, them showing the final episode and being live there. And then the camera pans back on Tevin watching TV and he says, and that's how I won Survivor, with a big old Tevin smile. Like that's what he reminds me of. And then it goes off screen and that's the end.
Yeah. He is a very, very talented speaker. I mean, an actor, and I mean, very, very talented guy and very entertaining. And you do kind of see him narrating the season, kind of taking that King George, right? Really narrating things and really kind of putting a lot of things into context and being a huge personality for the show. So, yeah. And he seems to be in a good position. He's not too much of a threat, like you're saying. He knows when to tone it down. He's not this super big personality in camp, constantly entertaining and being the actor and being the, center of attention all the time. So he's done a good job. But yeah, we haven't really seen camp life that much as far as him interacting with like a larger group of people. And so we'll see if he's able to kind of keep the smile down and stay pretty low key.
Right.
Yeah.
And the other person that I wanted to talk a little bit about was Soda, because, I talked about it a little bit last week with her camp songs and all her crazy, she's a little louder and a little more boisterous when it comes to, around camp, and that can get irritating and grating. They're like just come together. So I'm not seeing it so much for her, but I did see a lot of strength and just like the way when you talked about, Brandon, about how they like made this configuration to get Charlie over the ball. I mean,
I think that was Soda.
Yeah, that was Soda. And so I was really impressed with her this episode. I thought she was thinking smart. She knew to tone it down. She knew, like, I'm going to be strong and consistent and make smart decisions. And that's what we got from her 100%, because her name never came up as a possibility as someone to get voted out, right? Yeah. So I think that was really smart on her part, the way she played that whole thing.
And Brie, you're exactly right. I don't think for one moment that idea, that strategy was anybody but Soda. She probably told people when to go, who to go next in the puzzle. Like, I bet she orchestrated it, and that's probably why it went as well as it did, because of what Soda was probably saying during the challenge. She's the female version of Hunter when it comes to the mindset of these challenges out there. And now that we're at an individual game, we'll see how that helps her. What part of that will be an advantage to Soda? I didn't have Soda on great or terrible. She's kind of right in that middle piece for me right now. Just like Q kind of is, but Q is making more like big and terrible mistakes, to where Soda is kind of just there but talkative, unlike Liz, who hasn't said a word in days. So yeah.
And who is
Soda's game right now?
Well, I mean, I think she's playing a good. I just don't know who her number one is. I mean, what is her real alliance? I mean, I think she thinks she's in with Tevin and with Hunter. She doesn't like Venus, right? You could see her. She did have a conversation with Q and Tiffany. It seemed like, they definitely, all three could get along. But I'm having a hard time understanding the path forward for Soda as far as alliances goes. Because Ben, I'm not seeing it. Charlie and Maria, they might want to pull Soda in, but again, she's such a threat as far as socially, just because she's very likable, right? People really like her, and that works against her. So it's hard to see unless she gets in with kind of Q and Tiffany, but they have so many options, right? Why bring in her? Right. Why bring in her when she is a threat to the final tribal, right? Because I feel like Q thinks, and Tiffany thinks, well, she's going to beat us in the end, so we can't keep her around.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I almost wondered too, and again, it really has to do with Venus being a little bit more predictable to do this, but because like the Ferris and Kirby thing, they had such a dislike for each other, but they weren't exactly unpredictable. I think Venus has too much unpredictability for Soda to be thinking, oh, maybe Venus and I can get along. I don't see it happening. That'd be great if it could for her. But again, I agree with you. I don't see her path if she chooses the gameplay of I need a second person in this. And maybe that's why she isn't as... Do you think anybody is seen as a power couple right now? Like, I'm surprised by how much we haven't heard of any power couple talk.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there is, because the Tevin Hunter alliance low key. You wouldn't expect these two people. Q and Tiffany are together, but they see that as kind of a 3, a package deal with Kenzie. Charlie and Maria have done a really good job keeping their relationship under wraps.
Yep.
Ben doesn't have anybody. Tim does, so yeah, there isn't really a power couple. I think there's a power 3, but no one's really seen as a power couple on the, which, drastic change from last season with Austin and D.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and then everybody's thinking everybody's
change
a
it up a
power
little
couple, right? With Austin and Drew, and then Austin and D, and then I think on the other side they thought they had some power.
And then D and Julie. Yeah. This is not a big season of power couples
of known power couples, right?
Known power couples,
yeah. Because you got Charlie and Maria, who obviously is one of our favorites, Malcolm and Denise type thing. I think Tevin and Hunter on pace, like you're talking about. But they're doing good by making sure no one else really knows. I mean, Tim thinks he has a power couple, or at least that's the name he said. I personally don't think that he thinks that is it. I think he just needed to throw out a name. And I don't think that he necessarily has that power couple. But Maria's in a great spot right now as well.
Yeah.
We're talking about different people that I think are playing a great game. And I think Maria having a power couple with Tim that people are going to kind of keep an eye on. And they're going to be like, wait, hold on. This isn't a power couple. When it's actually with Charlie. And that's interesting because a lot of people think that Ben and Charlie are a power couple. So I think Maria and Charlie are in a pretty good place right now too. So it's going to be interesting to watch as the season unfolds.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of big players doing big things, and Maria and even Charlie just kind of taking it easy. I don't see Charlie as a threat. Anyone seeing him as a threat really right now?
Mm-mm.
You know what I mean? Because he's really not a big dude doing big things.
Yeah. Well, now he's in a minority alliance too, and so he's even less of a threat. And the only reason they wanted to vote him off because, it's kind of the guys thing, right? They wanted to keep majority women versus majority guys. But yeah, maybe he wasn't seen. I mean, does everybody know that he's a Harvard boy? That he goes to Harvard?
Harvard? I don't think so.
I think the island's done enough on him right now that it's not as apparent as it was on day one. So
I guess the more important question: do they all know he's a Taylor Swift fan? Because that might really change things.
Oh gosh,
Taylor,
notice me. No, okay. I was saying I really like Charlie. I was going to say but then I realized, oh, never mind. He's like this Taylor Swift fangirl. So I was like, never mind. I'm not. Really
well, I mean, I think good on him. It's like. He's a dedicated fan. We all wish to have a super fan like him. I mean, that's like the ultimate. That's what you get with that. But yeah, it's a little bit much. I definitely think you maybe don't talk about that as much now that you're in this bigger.
Doesn't seem like he is. Yeah.
Oh, but I think he's doing better not talking about Taylor better than Ben is talking about like Shred Red, like all these rock star things. And I'm like, I'm kind of over all the themes. It's just like if Ethan from Australian Survivor did, like, if they did show him, and he said he did do this, he had a movie theme on every single tribal council vote. And that kind of gets, I don't know, cheesy. It was just like, your friend.
It's better than Sifu.
Well, and Brie, your favorite of all time, Caroline. When Caroline from Australian Survivor, when she made the midwife comments at tribal council.
I delivered thousands of babies.
Yeah, I know.
This is going to be my first or whatever. Oh my God.
My first blindside delivery. It's like, don't do birth analogies in Survivor.
Yeah, exactly. Here's the thing. It's really interesting. Which is what I wanted to move into a little bit is since we just did finish up a terrific season of a Survivor Australia. There were some amazing players down on there this season. Who would you compare some of them to of people that we have left? Because I think there's definitely are some similarities with a few of them. But I don't see a Kirby emerging quite yet. But the only one, like you had said earlier, Alex, would maybe be Q. And that's that coaching thing that's coming through. But who would you compare between the US season right now and the one we just had in Australia? Not to throw things on you and make you think really quick.
Tim and Kitty would be one of my first ones. Just the slow gameplay, trying to tell the truth as much as possible, but kind
It's a good
of
one.
not knowing what to do with the lines. So for me, that one, it's not a huge one that's like, oh, definitely, but I can definitely see that Tim will probably go out like Kitty did, and for the same reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Tim's playing at 0.8 and Q's playing at 1.5 speed. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And Venus is flooring it.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking Mariah when she did this big blow up, that was kind of analogous to Kitty when she blew it all up and called it all out. And I mean, she lasted a little bit longer after that. Ferris, I mean, smiling assassin, right? I mean, is this going to be Tevin? I mean, he's not anything like Tevin, but Tevin's big smile. We said this, that D had a big smile, Ferris had a big smile, Kirby had a big smile, always smiling. So that's a I think a really important part. And then
that's true.
Yeah. Challenge Beast. We got
Hunter.
Rihanna. Yeah, Hunter as Rihanna, right? Challenge Beast.
Yeah.
But and then Scott is like Liz because they never talk. You never even know they're on the show. So
right, exactly. Like, who are they? When did you get here? Did you like just drop in at some point during this game? Yeah, I think that it's always interesting because we always want to compare. And I was thinking about it because, Mariah did the comparison to Aubrey. I think there's no comparison there besides the fact that maybe they look a little bit similar, possibly. But I think that was her major downfall, was when she compared herself to Q. That was like sealing the deal for Mariah, because Q was like, if that's the person that you like the most, what does that say about how your game is going to be played?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
That's another Survivor 101, right? You go on there, you do not make mention of who your real Survivor player is, because you're going to be playing just like them.
Just say Richard Hatch. That's all you got to say. And then don't take your
you're a
clothes
liar. Then they know you're lying. That's what I'm kind of fine with. I have to show off my Todd Pop now.
Yes, please do.
There we go. So Todd Pop, thank you, Todd Herzog. He was on our show a couple weeks ago, made that for us, customized everything with the
beautiful.
Look at that. Look at that.
Amazing.
So with that said, that's why I'm absolutely fine by letting people know, hey, I like John Penner and I like Keith Nail, because
right.
That doesn't tell him much besides, hey, okay, he likes funny people that are fun to watch.
Not really game players. Yeah.
No, that's not going to get me voted out. And I think this might be a great question. Besides people who have won the game, who are some players that you should not mention that have played before as your favorite player?
Fair play.
Yeah. I mean, any winner, really. Yeah. Any winner, real. I mean, that's such a great point, Brandon, is like, you do not tell people who you play like, because that gives them an understanding of you now and into the future and your entire game and your perspective on the game and how you want to play. Totally. I didn't think of how wrong that is a decision, or everybody else who goes out there. Yeah. You don't compare yourself to a future Survivor player. Or this is, what was his name? Jelinski, right? Lionizing himself before they've even played a single second of Survivor. And this is a mistake that people, I'm going to be the most brutal. I'm going to be the most conniving. I'm going to be the best Survivor to ever play it. It's like, make that judgment, make that call, define the audience will define you.
Yes.
So let them define you and what type of player you are before, you start to tell other people who you are and what you're capable of. And again, you've never played before. Yeah. Russell.
Joanna says, Russell. Yeah, you don't want to play like Russell, because that's never good. But, there's so many people. I mean, I think people even said Venus was like Parvati, and I don't think she is. But, like, if that's how you want to play the game, right? I mean, say you're like Rupert, maybe. I don't know. Like, he was just a good old guy who was really strong and took care of the camp and fed everybody. Had a kind heart. I don't mind saying that one.
And Q almost made that mistake too, right? With talking, I mean, good thing he was talking to Banu about this, and that was the Phil. I compare him to Phil. Well, if you're Phil and you're Rob, guess what? You win at the end. So, like, three things I don't think you do. First, you pick a loser is what you do. Pick someone who's lost the game. You pick up someone who had no game, or pick someone it's not evident. It's evident that you're not trying to play like that person pretty early.
Right.
So I could easily say, oh, my favorite player was
Poverty.
Yeah, your poverty. You're right. I'm not going to
play just like her.
I'm not going to seduce people on the island, or like I have no chance of doing that. So like, I would say poverty, and they're going to be like, okay, well, I get it. I wouldn't pick like a Surrey to where if I'm good at talking to people, or can handle my own, like her. Like, just don't pick somebody that people have already seen that you might have some characteristics with, right?
Yeah.
Well, to wrap things up, I wanted to talk a little bit. House of Villains got renewed for season 2, and they're already doing the casting. We don't see any Survivor players in there like we did with Johnny Fairplay, who was in season 1. But I love the fact that there is an entire show called House of Villains. I think Jeff needs to watch it and realize we do love our villains. Who is your pick as the season's villain of season 46?
Well, hold on. There is one Survivor on House of Villains season 2. Did you see it?
No, maybe I didn't see it. Who?
You've already mentioned his name in this conversation. It's Richard Hatch.
Oh, Richard Hatch.
Oh, that's right, Richard Hatch. Yes, they are bringing. They're bringing a Survivor winner.
Did he get out of jail? I'm just joking.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Thank you for. Yeah, that's right. There is a Survivor player once again.
But who would I have on there? I mean, if Richard Hatch is on there, I want Sue Hawk on there as well, right? But or maybe I don't. Villain that's oh man. Alex, do you have
Villain on this
I gotta-
season?
Any Survivor, but put them on House of Villains for season 3.
Oh, I've never watched House of Villains, but
Just a bunch of villains.
I like Boston Rob. I mean, he's on a Deal or No Deal Island. We're actually watching that. It's kind of funny. They got this guy on there, and he's like, "I'm going to play my princess card." That you have to watch the show to understand that. So Rob, and he's doing very well on that. He's just such a good player, and all time one of the greatest. So I'll put Rob.
Yeah,
because he's very good.
He's good. I think he would have a big target on him, but because Fairplay didn't get, he's still on it. He was on the season 1, and it was interesting. I cut parts of it just to kind of get in it. I do miss the villains. I think we need the villains. I want to see more of them. I think if there's a villain on the season 46, for me, it's going to end up being Tevin. I think he's sneaky. I think he's smart. I think he's not the villain of old, but the villain of new. And I can't wait to see what trouble he creates for everyone on the beach this year. We're going to wrap a little bit early because we all have places to go, and we love having you guys hang out with us. But we got a lot in store for the rest of this season as we've hit merge, and 2 people will be eliminated next week. So get ready for it. Buckle in, because it's going to be a heck of a ride. I have a feeling they're going to split them in half, and they're each going to have to vote one person off from the, how they do that, split them in half. And then they used to get like a stew at Tribal, but I don't think that's going to happen now. I think it's just you get to watch. But I think that's how it's going to happen. That's how we're going to see a double elimination. But stay tuned, everybody. Thanks, guys. This was fun as usual, even though my dogs literally tore my house apart. I will see you guys next week.
See ya.